Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. I am standing on a yoga mat, but if you don't have one, fear not. All you need is a place in your house that is not too slippery or too hard. So not really hardwood floor or linoleum, but maybe you've got a carpeted area or a rug that can become your yoga mat for today. Also, a folded blanket, that's as simple as a beach towel or the throw blanket from your couch. A couple of blocks, maybe you've got some thick books that can do the trick for today. Once we have those, let's start standing with our feet hip distance and parallel in what's called mountain pose. We'll turn our palms away from each other, a little soft bend in our knees. So there's always a softness in our practice. Even as we do some sort of sturdy and strong poses, there's something a little softer and more fluid. Maybe you can find some of that soft, fluid feel to your breath. It's not short. You're not breathing too hard. Everything feels like it can soften in to the place it wants to be, to the majesty of a mountain. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands to your thighs. Use pressing your thighs to lengthen your spine. Keep that long spine. Feel free to slide your hands lower, but not if you find a whole lot of rounding in your spine. Inhale, lift your heart and slide your hands up. Maybe they're still on your thighs. Exhale, fold in but think hinging in. One more time with that long spine. Then rise, reach, arms to the sky, inhale. We'll stand in our mountain, a little soft bend to our knees, palms face out, uplift to our heart. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Inhale, slide your hands up, uplift your heart. This time, bend your knees deeply enough that your palms can go flat on your mat. We're stepping to our first down dog. Press into your hands, oomph into your arms. What I don't want is a rounded spine, and I don't want you to collapse into your shoulders. So let's remedy that by pushing into your hands, lifting your sit bones like there's a hook in your tailbone. I'm high on my tiptoes, and my feet are almost as wide as my mat. That's helpful to me to create that long spine. Now walk forward slowly, feet hip distance and parallel. Inhale, hands to ankles, shins or thighs. Exhale, hinge at your hips and fold. Inhale, rise, reach, arms to the sky, and then stand in your mountain palms, face out. Adding on, inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to thighs or shins or ankles, but long spine, yeah? Inhale, lift your heart. Bend your knees deeply, palms flat before we step back. Oomph into our arms. Hook in our tailbone in our down dog. Shift to plank, shoulders over wrists. Now you can bring your knees down if you want to, but I want to make sure there's no caving in. We're pushing the ground away and filling out in between our shoulder blades. Find the hook in your tailbone. Let that take you back to down dog. I'm on my tiptoes. Walk forward, feet to your hands, hip distance. Inhale, slide your hands up your legs and lift your heart. Exhale, slide your hands down. Don't worry how far down. Then inhale, rise, arms to the sky. Stand in your mountain, palms face out. We'll keep adding to our sun salutation A. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to thighs, shins or ankles. Inhale, slide your hands up, lift your heart, bend your knees deeply, palms flat, step back, down dog, oomphing into your arms, lifting your hips. Shift to plank, shoulders over wrists. Now all of us will bring our knees down and lower slowly in one piece to our belly. Once we're on our belly, uncurl your toes and bring your forearms onto your mat, parallel to the two sides of your mat. Sphinx pose, we traction our elbows towards us. I'd like you to press into the tops of your feet until your kneecaps come off your mat, and then be certain that your chin is parallel to the ground. Sometimes we struggle to do this with our chin. Let's place it in between our shoulder blades. This is the opposite of our plank. Our shoulder blades are gliding towards each other in what's called retraction. Lower down, curl your toes under, slide your hands next to your ribs. Now we will go the opposite in our shoulder blades from that Sphinx as we come to hands and knees. So press into your hands. Hands and knees, we're already pushing the ground away. We take it to down dog with the hook in our tailbone. We keep pushing the ground away. We're not collapsed into our shoulders. Walk your feet forward, hip distance and parallel. Hands to ankles, shins, or thighs as we uplift our heart and inhale. Exhale, fold and slide your hands down. Inhale, rise, reach, arms to the sky, thumbs to the sky, and then stand in your mountain. We'll flow that. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to thighs or shins or ankles. Inhale, lift your heart, slide your hands up, then bend your knees and place your palms flat. Down dog, we step back, lifting our hips, oomphing into our arms. Keep the oomph, come to plank. Knees down, one piece all the way to our belly. Uncurl your toes for either cobra with your hands where they are or sphinx with your forearms down. Mind your chin. Lower down, curl your toes under, oomph into your arms, hands and knees. Keep pushing into your arms as we lift our hips up and back, down dog. Walk your feet forward, hip distance and parallel, hands to ankles, shins, or thighs as we inhale, uplift our heart. Exhale, slide your hands down, but keep the length in your spine. Then inhale, rise, reach, arms to the sky. We'll stand in our mountain and pause. We have a little bit of prop movement, mindful prop movement to take care of. Take your two blocks and place them off what will become the back edge, long edge of our mat. So on either side of the long edge, we're going to be facing the opposite long edge. First, we stand in the middle with our feet hip distance, and I'm going to turn towards you so that this is a bit more clear. Standing on your left leg, take your hands onto your hips. This is an action in our hip that we're looking for. There's actually two at the same time. Our outer left hip is going to stabilize. Our right hip's going to mobilize. So stand on your left leg. Take your right leg out in front of you and feel with your hands on your hips that when we turn our leg out, it's happening in that right hip joint, right? So we can do that a couple of times. Like you're dancing a jig, we turn it out, but we stay solid in our left hip. Now turn it out like dancing a jig and make it a kickstand, which is one way to do tree pose. Keep this stable, left hip. You could take your right foot into your shin. We still have this activity in our hip. You might put right foot into left inner thigh. If you'd like, you can grow your branches out to the side. Maybe having your hand on a chair or a wall is helpful. Something called external rotation is happening in your right hip. Just FYI. Take your hands onto your hips. Point your right leg forward, step down, and let's step wide. We're going to take that into a little bit of a sequence. So pretend that we're dancing that jig again and turn your right leg out so your right foot is facing the back edge of your mat. Cheat your left heel at a 45-degree angle, and then bend your front knee. We might need a little bit more space if we don't have a vertical line between our right knee and right ankle. We'll pause a few moments and feel tree pose happening in our right hip and tree pose happening in our left leg. So instead of that left leg being limp, think of how solid it was. Press that thigh bone into the hamstring, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. 3 moments here. Keep your arms out to the side, press into your right big toe mound and let that right leg straighten. When I say straighten, I don't want it to feel locked. So none of this practice, remember, is terse. I said it has that fluid softness to it always. So let's find that by pressing our right big toe mound and feeling the muscles turn on. And then it's a hinge at our hip, not a side bend. And we reach way out with our right hand, our right arm, our right side, and we find our block outside of our right foot. Now, if you don't have a block, you are permitted to take your hand onto your thigh, but that means you really need to make sure you're not pushing too hard and hyperextending. And you'll likely need to stay there and skip the next suggestion that I have if you're not using a prop. Let's stay for 3 moments exactly as we are. If your top arm gets tired, you can always Bring the back of your left hand to the small of your back. Just make sure that doesn't collapse your shoulder forward. Option to stay right where we are, or to look down and turn this into a one-legged balancing triangle. You'll step with your block about a foot out in front of your right pinky toe, and then lift your left leg, and it's just a brief moment here, if you even choose to do it at all. We'll step back into our triangle and meet our friends who opted to stay put. And let's come out the way we came in. So look down at your right leg, bend your right knee, move your prop off your mat and come to warrior two. Straighten your front leg, lower your arms. Turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat. Heel toe till we're hip distance. And then I'm going to turn and face you again for this part of it. Remember, we dance our jig, and that's what sets us up for the whole sequence. Hands on our hips. We stand on our right leg this time. Left leg out in front. We feel evidence under our left hand as we turn our leg out and take it back to the sky. And we'll do that a few times, and you can feel that that's originating in your hip joint. Now let's turn it out and turn it into a kickstand. Hug outer right hip in. You're welcome to stay just like this. You might walk that left foot to your shin or a left foot into your inner thigh. We are nerding out on what's happening in this left hip because it's going to be the ingredients of warrior two and triangle. Maybe you spread your branches out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Bring your hands to your hips. Turn your left leg forward, step down, and then step wide, and we'll get ourselves situated once again here. So turn your left leg out so that it's dancing a jig and doing your tree pose and facing the left short edge of your mat. Cheat your right heel at a 45-degree angle. We'll bend our front knee and just check on that status, a vertical line from left knee to left ankle. Then we notice that we're doing tree pose in our left hip, and then we want the stability of kind of like a tree pose in our right leg. And we'll pause and breathe a moment or two here. Now, slow motion, straighten that front leg, and remember the fluidity. So we're pressing into that left big toe mound. We're keeping a little bit of a bobbly, muscular bend there. And then not a side bend, a hinge at our hip, and a long reach with our left arm and left side of our body to our block, probably. Maybe you carefully use your thigh. If your top arm gets tired, you can weave it behind your back. Sometimes that's just great in educating the bottom ribs to roll to the sky. A couple silent moments on this side of our triangle. You can stay right here or take a brief balancing moment, moving your block about a foot out in front of your left pinky toe, lifting that right leg just for a moment, just to try it on for size, and then we'll come back to triangle, meet our friends who stayed put. And we come out the way we came in slowly. So take a look down and bend your left knee. Move your prop off to the side, warrior two, and then we straighten our front leg, turn all toes to face the long edge of our mat, and heel toe, till we're hip distance and we can move easily to the front edge of our mat. But let's move our props with us. So take your two blocks facing the short initial front edge of our mat. Place your blocks on either side of your mat. We want them not to be underfoot, but within reach, in case we choose to use them. We'll stand with our feet hip distance in our mountain, and inhale, reach arms to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins or ankles. Inhale, slide your arms up, lift your heart, then bend your knees, hands flat. Oomph into your arms for down dog. Lift your sit bones, let that hook in your tailbone bring length to your spine. We'll shift to plank, shoulders over wrists, knees down very slowly in one piece to our belly. Uncurl your toes into a cobra or sphinx pose. Lower down, curl your toes under through all fours, and then to down dog. Lift your right leg back behind you and step it forward. Oftentimes we need to help it along. All good. Take your blocks underneath your hands in this lunge position, so we're on the ball of our left foot. Heel toe your right foot over to the right a little bit, and then I want us to nerd out on some actions in our hips here. So our front leg, our right leg is in hip flexion, and our left leg is in hip extension. It's extending back behind us. They're doing opposite actions. Just something to know, something to learn about. We stay for a few moments, nerding out on our bodies a little bit. And then we will take our hands to our mat and step to a down dog once again. Oomph into your arms, feel that hook in your tailbone. Now left leg lifts behind us. We'll step it forward and we might need to help it along. There's no shame in that. Trot your blocks in. Heel toe left foot to the left a little bit. And then just feel that we now have our left hip in flexion and our right hip in extension. So you might feel a little tightness in the front of your right leg, that back leg, and you might feel a different sort of a hip stretch happening and hip strengthening happening in your left hip, right? We're going to tease this out a little bit. So this is sort of the foundation of a sequence we'll climb into in a sec. Now take your blocks off to the side and bring yourself into down dog once again. From down dog, rock forward, feet are hip distance and parallel, hands to ankles, shins, or thighs as we lift our heart. Exhale, fold in, slide your hands down, but keep length in your spine. And then inhale, rise, reach arms to the sky, and we stand into our mountain. We will add on to that little foundational piece. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, hinge, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Inhale, lift your heart, bend your knees so you can find down dog, palms flat, step it back. From down dog, lift your right leg, step your right foot forward, feel free to help it along, bring your blocks into the mix. So here we are in our crescent lunge shape, what I said was the foundation of what comes next. We will step our blocks forward and lift our left leg. So standing onto our right leg, a letter T with our left leg behind us. Yeah? Now we are in quite a bit of flexion in that right leg that's holding us up here. You can always take a little balance with a prayer under your heart for a couple of moments if that sounds interesting. Listen carefully, firm through your belly. In a moment, we're going to come upright with our left knee into our chest. So I just want to say that before we go there so you can kind of imagine what's happening. Some core strength as we stand up, and now we take our left leg into hip flexion, but not for long. See if you can take your left hand to find your left foot. And if you can't, that's okay. You don't have to hold on. But you're going to kick yourself in the butt with your left leg. So now we're taking it into that extension. And you might be able to hold on to your left foot with your left hand and take your right arm at a V shape. And we now have extension at our left hip. We started that way and we end it in our sequence. Step down and stand into your mountain. Move your blocks once again to the two sides of your mat. So they're very handy and within reach and out of our way. And then inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to thighs or shins or ankles. Inhale, slide your hands up, bend your knees deeply, palms flat. We head to down dog. Oomph into your arms, feel that you have that hook in your tailbone. Lift your left leg behind you. Step it through into our lunge, which means we trot our blocks now to either side of that left foot. We will step it forward into a letter T, moving our blocks with us. So step forward, blocks are in front of you, and right leg is lifted off the ground. This is where you have an opportunity, should you see it as such, to take a little prayer underneath your heart and balance for a moment or two. Pretty intense hip flexion happening in our left leg. Now, remember I gave you a little warning on the first side. We are standing in a moment upright with our right knee into our chest. So standing on your left leg, come upright and bring your right knee into your chest. Hip flexion, not for long. Then let it kick you in the butt. You might take your right hand and hold on. and then maybe left arm in a V shape. And here we are in hip extension, just like our crescent lunge was suggesting at the beginning of this. We have a little balance happening. Gently let go, step hip distance, stand into your mountain. Let's move our blocks off to the side again so that they don't interrupt our flow. And then inhale, arms out and up. Hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins or ankles. Inhale, lift your heart, bend your knees deeply, palms flat, step to down dog. We'll take our vinyasa, it's called. So come to plank, push into your hands, oomph into your arms, bring your knees to your mat in one piece all the way down to our belly. And then we uncurl our toes for either Sphinx or Cobra. Lower down, curl your toes under, come to all fours and stay on all fours for our next little bit of fun. I'm going to move my blocks so that you can see me, that they don't get in your way at all. And I am going to face you completely forward. Actually, no, I'm not. I want to make sure you can see what I'm up to, because these are called hip cars, controlled articular rotation, and I want you to be able to see what we're doing. So the first one, we will bring our right knee into our chest, then we'll take it out to the side, and I want you to feel like it's a little corkscrew. So your inner thigh is going to go down and your heel goes towards the sky. So you can see me, I'll turn even more towards you. It was into our chest, out to the side, and then you kick your heel up a little bit and you let your knees come together. So right knee to your chest, out to the side, what's called an internal rotation, and then your knees kiss. One more time, knee to chest, knee out to the side, internal rotation, which is actually something that we need for every step that we take, and then bring your knee to the ground. Let's try that on our left side, okay? Left knee to chest. If it's new, don't worry. Doesn't have to be perfect. Out to the side, then let your knee drop and your heel lift. Inseam of your leg spins back, internal rotation, and knees together. Left knee to your chest, left knee out to the side, internal rotation as best you can figure, and then the knees kiss. And left knee to your chest, left knee out to the side, internally rotate. Bring that left knee to your mat. Come back to our right side. This is the opposite way. So this time, let your right heel kick you in the butt. Take it out to the side like doggy in the fire hydrant. So now your knee is high and your heel is trying to go a little bit lower, and then your knees will kiss. How's it going with oomping into your arms? I know, me too. Kick yourself in the butt with your right heel. Doggy in the fire hydrant out to the side. Let your knees kiss. And let's do that one more time. Kick yourself in the butt. Around the outside, doggy in the fire hydrant. And then right knee down. Second side, left heel kicks you in the butt. Take it out to the side, doggy in the fire hydrant. And the knees kiss. Left heel kicks you in the butt. Left knee out to the side, doggy in the fire hydrant. Knees kiss. One more time. Left heel kicks you in the butt. You take it out around the outside, and then bring your left knee down. Come seated, extend your legs out in front of you. Pretty great time to take your folded blanket and sit up on your folded blanket. You also just might want to have a block nearby as we bend our right knee and essentially take tree pose here, seated. If it's bothersome to your right knee, take your block and place it underneath your thigh bone. Curl your left toes back, sit up tall. Reach your arms out in a V shape. Right ribs rotate towards our left leg. You could even take one of your blocks or two of your blocks here to get length in your spine. So I'm not interested in you rounded over your left leg. Let's pause and feel a hip stretch, the external rotation, right, in this hip. We'll pause a moment or two to breathe. Use the strength of your arms to help you upright. Now help this next part along too. Take your hand on your right thigh and stamp your right foot on the ground. Then step your right foot over your straight left leg, and we'll take a twist. Left arm to the sky. You could hook your right thigh or take your left elbow outside your right thigh. 2 moments here. Unwind. Take your right leg out in front of you. Bend your left knee. Think tree pose now with our left foot in our right inner thigh. Remember, you have the option to use your block underneath your left thigh. Maybe those 2 blocks are kind of nice to have out framing your right leg. Arms out to the side. It's left ribs rotating towards our right leg, and we're interested in creating a long spine here. I'll give you a swath of silence. A little meditation in our tree pose seated. Now we come up, move our props out of the way and help it along. So remember, hold on to your left thigh, place that left foot on the ground, and then step it over your right leg. We'll twist now, left hand behind us, right elbow on the outside of the thigh, or maybe it feels good to you to hug that bent left knee, and then just a couple moments in our twist. Unwind. Extend your left leg out in front of you, give it a waggle. And we'll make our way onto our backs and into our final Shavasana meditation. Once we lie down, let's get ourselves set up for a really sweet Shavasana. Snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you. Lift your hips just an inch. And make some space in your low back as you lower your hips to your mat. Walk your feet wide, let your knees fall in on each other. This could be how you stay, or extend one leg and then the other. Let your feet flop open. If you're comfortable, close your eyes, possibly even cover your eyes, or just a soft gaze as we surrender. No more efforting. Rest and digest. You're welcome to stay here in your final Shavasana meditation as long as you'd like. If you're ready, wiggle fingers and toes, give yourself a stretch. Gently collect your knees into your chest and roll to your side, either side. Take your time coming up to any comfortable seat. Once you're seated, palms up or down. Maybe you notice that if you're seated cross-legged, you're in an external rotation with both hips. Just hipping you to it. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for